I have always lived in a fact-based universe.
I'm a 19-year-old Democrat.
And I admit I'm a Trump supporter.
I'm sick and tired of the left and the right.
Where are the places where we can all meet? Where are the places that we can all see each other?
So we had put the economy and how it relates to COVID, voter fraud, and climate change. Do those feel comfortable?
Yeah, the main thing for me is like, I do want to find a place so we can all actually speak to each other again.
Hello, my name is Michael P. Sild. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, USA.
Hi guys, I'm Mike Sheether. I am a liberal. Oh my gosh. Sarah suggested topics for us.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you want to discuss those topics?
Sure. Whatever topic you want to do.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, where do you want to jump in? You want to go deep? You want to go Trump conceding?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
Let's go big first.
Yeah. Well, I'm still a little concerned about. I'm actually kind of shocked the way the election went with all of this potential or talk about fraud and all this stuff going on. But it kind of scared me a little bit with the mail-in ballots. Now we've done absentee ballots in Arizona for years. And they're a great system. I mean, you mail it on in, you get a text that they received it, they got a text that they've confirmed it, it's been checked, and your vote counts. Whereas some other states, I don't think we're ready for this volume to come in. And I think there's some possible issues regarding that, but I don't know what to believe anymore regarding the voting system and stuff. I've kind of lost a little confidence. That was something you could always rely on, as you had the results on November 3rd, by midnight.
Sure.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon.
We've done mail-in ballots for a really long time, and so our system is pretty flawless. And with the same thing, we have the I drop mine off, and then you get a text 20 minutes later saying that they've received your ballot, and so that's great. I mean, what's interesting, I'll just say from my side of from like the information that in my world is that like the only voter fraud things that I've heard of are a couple like random people trying to vote like for Trump for their dead grandparent or something like that, and then I've heard the stories about different people in different states wanting certain areas to not be counted or to not be looked at, mostly black neighborhoods, and and I find that concerning. I mean, to me the numbers to me really bear out that Biden, it feels to me like Biden won. I mean, the numbers are so big that it's kind of like, I find it hard to believe that there would be 6 million cases of voter fraud,
I understand that, but the thing I was going to, when we started out with the election process, it looked like Trump was doing really well, and then all of a sudden it switched really quickly, and you kind of have to scratch your head. And because my rationale is, you look at the turnout, like you said, when you looked at that Trump rally, the thousands of people that were at the rallies, and then you look at Biden's rallies, and there's a handful of people driving by or a few people sitting there, and you kind of think, well, how do these numbers correlate with the amount of enthusiasm that Trump had versus the lack of enthusiasm that we saw with Biden's campaign?
I think there's to me, it's like there's two factors. One, COVID. I do kind of feel like I am a super politically active person. I wouldn't go to a rally, and I must admit, I voted more for Kamala than I voted for Joe. I like Biden. He's fine. But I was, I wish that it was another candidate. I would have liked it to have been someone further left. Like I would have wanted it to be Elizabeth, or not really Bernie, but Elizabeth Warren was kind of my favorite. And then I voted more for Kamala. And so, but it's, I mean, and then, the other part of it is that, the idea of kind of the like, red mirage, at least is the way that I've heard it was spoken about, is the idea that there was, so many in-person ballots that were counted right away. And then most liberals, I think, were voting, by mail. And so it's like, it just takes longer to count those, right?
So so back to Trump conceding, how do you think that should be handled? Like, what do you think should happen with it?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, they have to certify all the states, for getting the electoral votes. And now I'm hearing that some of the Republicans may not want to certify or something in the state legislation.
Yeah.
And I was reading about the Amendment 12, that if they're regarding the amendment, if there's issues regarding the electoral process, that maybe it has to go to Congress. But I don't know, is any of these lawsuits that Trump's doing, are they going to end up getting into a courtroom, or are they going to be elevated up to the Supreme Court? See, I don't know how that process really works. But
Right.
the Amendment 12 was talking about where because actually the Electoral College could be put on hold, in my interpretation of this, and it could be done by the Congress. The Senate would decide the vice president, and the House would decide the president, and it would be one vote per state or something of that nature, the way I was reading it. So it would be pretty much more a cut and dry, these are the numbers, this are the votes, and this is the way it's going to be, versus, 73 million people voting or something of that nature. So I don't know if it's ever going to get to that level or anything like that, but I don't know. I don't know when he's going to come to a concession basis. If he is going to come to a concession, he may not, and it just, walks out on the 20th, and that's it, So I don't know. I don't think he should do that. I think there should be, a transition situation, and, showing him the ropes and touring him around the White House, which he already knows and stuff. But, just some sort of some decency regarding that. So
great. No, I appreciate you saying that, because it is. I was just listening to a thing about H.W. Bush when Clinton came into office. Do you know about that?
No, I don't.
When H.W. Bush wrote him this letter, you should look it up. It's this letter is like, it brings tears to my eyes, because it's like the truest sense of like gentlemanly warfare. Like, yes, we're on opposite sides of a lot of things, but at the end of the day, you're going to be my president too. And, and I thought, and it was just such a cool thing that H.W. Bush did by saying that. And I'm hoping that, that Trump doesn't, I think we both can admit probably that he's of an emotional person, and that he's pretty volatile.
He's from New York too, There's a certain, when you visit with over people in New York, they have a different attitude toward things.
Yeah,
So
that's where I'm from. Like my whole family's from New York, from Long Island, and it's interesting because they're very split on Trump, and a lot of people in New York kind of. They know Trump, and they know kind of like the things that he's done in New York City, which some of them haven't been, some of his business practices are kind of like not the best, and so, but yeah, I hope that if things, what I find difficult is that I think that a true democracy in my mind is the people, is the popular vote to me seems like all that should matter. It's like if more people want a simple majority, the more people that want one person, that's who wins. The Electoral College to me seems so antiquated and like something that's just, I don't know. I have the same problem with the fact that we have 2 senators per state. It's like, the fact that Wyoming has the same amount of senators as California seems crazy to me, or Rhode Island. It's like, it just feels like there's a lot of things that have been kept in our system because it helps. I think it helps Republicans win because they win when less people vote.
Yeah, I think that's true too. Yeah, I think the Electoral College, the way it was designed, from my understanding, is that way it'd be shared throughout all the colonies or all the United States. If it was a couple states that were large with census and population, then those would be the ones that would be deciding what's going to happen. And I think the forefathers felt that wasn't equitable. That's why I think they designed the Electoral College. But
totally true.
Yeah, and popular vote is, it's something that needs to be weighed in there too, regarding what the populace really wants to do too. So it's just too bad the two groups, the Democrats and Republicans, cannot work together to get things done, especially with the COVID crisis, getting us the funding out there to the businesses and to the people that need the money and things of this nature to help them out, help out all of our American citizens to get through this tough times.
Do you think that the Democrats have been slowing that though?
Well, I think it's both parts. I think, someone puts a bill out there and they argue it, and then the other party says no, and then the other one puts one out, and then they argue it, and then the other one says no. So I don't think they were really working well together to get this thing resolved. I think this is where I think they needed to really sit down more. And I always used to kid to my wife, say, well, just sequester them in the Congress, bring in pizzas, and they don't leave until they get something done.
Right.
Just get it done. This needs to be done. This is important for society.
Oh, I completely agree. The idea that that we have the things going on that we have going on right now, and we're in a lame duck session. Everybody's left for Thanksgiving. Right. No, you don't get to leave. Sorry. I don't get to go have Thanksgiving dinner with my family because of COVID. So
Right.
I'm sorry, but you don't get to leave until we get things figured out. It's
Right.
just,
See, I would have put in, 100 cots in the Congressional Center, and you sleep in the cot or in your office and be back here, you get an hour break or whatever, and you get your
Yeah.
dinner brought in, but you get to get stuff done. And there's a big board on the wall over there, and those are the items that have to be done before you can leave.
Totally. I mean, it's it's so hard, and I blame Grover Norquist for a lot of things, because I think that he set this kind of agenda that was, you either bend to, like, you toe the line as a Republican or you're out, and we will primary you. And to me, it's like that just puts such a toxic environment. I mean, look at someone like, what are your feelings about, like, Lindsey Graham?
I like him. I mean, I think he's got some positive things. He's got some negative things too. But I personally like him the way he speaks. I like a lot of the younger Republicans that are out there. I think that will be rising up the ladder down the way in the Republican Party. So I do like some of the things to say, and some of them I don't agree with. I mean, just like Trump, I didn't agree with a lot of things, the way he said things, the way he tweeted, the way he called people's names. I think it was a little unprecedented. But I do think that that's probably his, and I don't mean to label New Yorkers, but that was kind of a New York attitude, the way you speak your mind, blatantly like that. And that's, unfortunately, it doesn't go across to people well,
I noticed that in your the pre-tape that you did, the intro, that you were like not wanting foul language, which I must admit I'm holding my tongue, not because I don't swear usually out of anger. I just swear because it's just a pause for. Yeah, well, the F word is like a pause for me. It's like a period. So, but I find it interesting that you're excited about Trump, when I think he's like arguably one of the most foulest speaking presidents I've ever seen. I mean,
I don't agree with his language and things that he talks about, calling people names, things that. What I was impressed with during Trump for his 4 years here, that he really did a great job with the economy before COVID came. I think, from a business standpoint, I did well with the business, and things grew and stuff. And I don't think would have done that under other administrations. So I think he knew how to take care of things. I also feel he did a good job in getting world respect for us. I think everybody, the China, dealing head to head with China regarding the tariffs and things going on there. I thought that was good to do.
You don't think that we've lost relationships that are important, though?
I think there probably are some relationships that are going to have to be rebuilt. Yeah, I think so down the way. But I think he took a stern position, regarding our military, building our military up, so we have a strong military, having respect from the world leaders over there that USA is back on top again, and they're not one to mess with, and and dealing with China, some of the issues with China. I know China is notorious for stealing our technology, and I don't understand why that wasn't addressed years ago in this situation. So, I mean, that's a concern that I have. But overall, I mean, I think Trump did a pretty good job, aside from his issues with his mouth.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I don't feel that way. I mean, I feel like he lowered our standard in the world by so much that, like, I don't know. It's just hard for me to know how we're going to come back from it, because I think, and it's the same. I think the same with Boris Johnson. Like, it's one of the reasons that I just don't feel like a hard conservative. This is the thing about Trump that I have a hard time with, is I don't think Trump actually believes in anything. Like, I think he believes in what the person that he wants to impress most in the room wants him to believe in. And I think, like, he's so fungible. He's moved a lot on a lot of different issues. But for the most part, the economy did well. Obviously, the economy tanked under COVID. And I think that the way that he handled COVID was terrible, because the fact that he wouldn't wear a mask, all the like little things that you have to do as a president to kind of virtue signal and say, like, I'm part of this, I'm a person too, and the fact that he wasn't able to admit that COVID was a thing for the longest time, I think was terrible. And I think had we done something like Australia did, or other countries that are now out of COVID, I think we could have. I blame him for a lot of that. And so, and then, in the world respect realm, gosh, I just don't know. The way that he speaks about Angela Merkel, the way that he speaks about the Paris Accord, all of these things, to me, it's like, I just don't, it seems so short-sighted. Like, yes, our economy might be booming for a little bit, but what does it mean in the long run when we're pulling EPA standards, when we're dropping, all sorts of things just for money's sake? Like, I firmly believe that climate change is a thing. I believe that humans have, not humans, but our inventions have caused it.
I feel that the USA has done their part or tried to be the leader in climate control, things of this nature, where some of the other countries out there like China and India, Pakistan, some of those are not really doing their best to it. And the reason I ask this is because when I was traveling across during my early days of retirement and doing different cruises, different countries that we go into, the litter and garbage they had in the ocean near their it was unbelievable. It was like miles of it wrapped around their whole islands and things.
Totally.
And so I'm thinking, well, wait a second. I mean, U.S. I think is trying to do decrease pollution, but then you look at some of the other countries, and I know like China and Beijing and stuff, they've been wearing masks for decades over there because the air quality is so bad. Where I think we've got some things here to try to improve our air quality and some of the filters on the smokestacks and factory and things of this nature. I think we've done some, but I'm not sure the other countries are out there doing anything like we are. So how are we going to eliminate problems with climate issues if the other countries don't participate as aggressively or as supportively as we are?
Totally. And and I agree that a lot of other countries were, their carbon footprints were way bigger than ours for a long time. Right. One of the things that's happening though, I think, is like China, for instance, they have the ability, like when they decide to do something, it happens.
Right.
Partly because of the way that they're governed.
Right.
And so when they started pushing solar initiatives, it happened nationwide almost instantly. And totally, there's, when you look at emerging economies, I mean, it's difficult because they're still burning coal. They're still burning a lot of things that aren't, great to burn. And, I think in our country, extraction and fracking is something I have a really hard time with. I'm from Colorado. Colorado has been destroyed on some level by the fracking that's happening there. And I think that in my mind, we still need fuel. I mean, we still need gas. We still need oil. But I think that I would love it if we put more money towards something new, something renewable, solar, wind, whatever it might be, so that we can, because it's like we can say, oh, it's not there yet, till we're blue in the face.
Right.
But I think that if we were putting real money towards these things, and people understood that, like, we could find a way for people to still make money off of it. Right. I think that's the issue right now is like, you can't make money off the sun.
Right.
You're not selling sunbeams.
Right.
I think if there was a way for us to get to a place where we're not, like the idea that I can be holding an iPhone in one hand and pumping gas in the other, like those two things can exist in the same world seems insane to me.
Yeah, true. It's not very safe either.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
I agree with that. That's interesting. But I just think that the United States is not getting enough credit for we trying to do things where some of the other nations are not trying as much, and maybe not looking at us as for examples or supporting and getting them to do some of that stuff. I think it's a world event, world compliance of everybody doing and jumping in there. And
this was really fun, and it's I'm so glad that we did it. And
nice meeting you, nice chatting with you. All right, meeting you too. Thank you. All right, bye now.
Just got off my phone call with Michael. We had a wonderful conversation.
Maybe this is something that can go on further and further. I hope American Divide would do more of this.
I think that this is just an important thing to do. I'm really happy that I was able to do it, and I'd love to do it again. Yeah, Avi.
My name is Nicholas Ferrara. I work in the arts and entertainment industry, as well as the service industry and the yoga community.
My name is Joseph Rudy Rulo, and I'm a political fanatic.